While Jesus was on earth, he chose 12 men to follow him, ordinary men who would later be used by God in extraordinary ways. Here are 9 amazing facts about the apostles of Jesus that you probably didn't know. There were more than 12 disciples. Yes, the 12 apostles were the closest to Jesus, but it is evident that Christ had many more followers throughout his ministry. In Luke 10, Jesus sent out 70 disciples ahead of him. And don't forget the women. Mary Magdalene, Joanna, Susanna, and many others supported Jesus' ministry. The movement of Jesus was much larger than just the 12. Paul was the true replacement for Judas. After Judas's death, the apostles chose Matthias by casting lots. But we never hear of Matthias again in Scripture. Instead, God raised up Paul, someone chosen directly by Christ himself. Paul went on to spread the gospel across the Roman world and became one of the most influential figures in Christian history. Most of the apostles died violent deaths, except one. Their faith cost them everything. Peter was crucified upside down because he didn't feel worthy to die like Christ. Paul was beheaded in Rome during Nero's persecution. Thomas was speared in India. Others were stoned or killed in brutal ways. But John was different. He was the only one of the original 12 not to die a violent death. Instead, he lived to old age on the island of Patmos, where he wrote the book of Revelation. The apostles already knew of Jesus before he called them. By the time Jesus began his ministry, word of the Messiah had already spread. In John 1, Andrew tells his brother Simon Peter, "We have found the Messiah." So when Jesus later calls Peter while he's fishing, Peter already recognizes him as Master. This shows how the people of Judea were already expecting the Christ long before his miracles began. John's gospel is unique. While Matthew, Mark, and Luke share many of the same events, John's gospel is 90% unique. Instead of repeating stories, John includes moments the others left out, like Jesus washing his disciples' feet, John 13. It's as if John wanted to fill in the missing details, giving us a deeper look at Jesus' heart and ministry.
Luke and Paul never met Jesus in person. Luke, who wrote the Gospel of Luke and the book of Acts, wasn't one of the 12 apostles. He likely gathered his information by interviewing eyewitnesses. For example, the details of Jesus' birth in Luke 2 likely came from Mary herself. Paul, on the other hand, began as a persecutor of Christians. But after encountering Jesus in a vision on the road to Damascus, he became the greatest missionary of the early church, writing most of the New Testament. Some apostles were married. Unlike what we often see today with celibate priests, the apostles were not all single. Peter was married. We know this because Jesus healed his mother-in-law. Philip had 4 daughters who were prophets. And many apostles traveled with companions like Mark and Luke. They weren't disconnected from family life as they served God. Peter, James, and John formed Jesus' inner circle. There were 3 key moments where Jesus took these 3 aside from the others. In Mark 5, they witnessed him raise Jairus' daughter from the dead. In Matthew 17, they were with him at the Transfiguration, where he shone with heavenly glory and spoke with Moses and Elijah. And in Matthew 26, they prayed with him in Gethsemane before his arrest. Judas Iscariot was different from the others. While the other apostles were Galileans, Judas was from Judea. He managed the money bag but often stole from it. And when Mary poured perfume on Jesus, Judas complained, not because he cared for the poor, but because he wanted the money. In John 6:70, Jesus even calls him a devil. Judas's betrayal shows us that being close to Jesus doesn't guarantee faithfulness. It comes down to the heart. These 9 facts show us that the apostles were ordinary men who lived extraordinary lives through the power of God. Their stories still challenge us today. Would you have had the same courage to stand for your faith? Comment your honest answer below.